Hello, I'm ABXToyCat and welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about gravel in Minecraft. This is something a lot of you have requested because every time it comes up on stream, someone will ask something like, oh, Toycat, what's your least favourite block in Minecraft? I'll always say gravel and I'll take the opportunity to trash it as much as I humanly can, and you might question exactly why do I hate gravel so much? Why do I want it to be, nerfed and stuff? And I figured I'd explain all of that in today's video. So I'm going to be trying as honestly as I can to tell you all the good things that gravel actually has, again, totally impartially. Then I'll be telling you exactly why I don't like gravel in spite of all those things, and then I will be explaining how I think gravel could be improved in the future. So if you do like the video, please do like it and let me know, because it helps out the channel a lot and lets me know you do like me ranting about my least favourite block in the game. But yeah, let's get straight into it really, shall we? And let's start with the first thing that gravel does that is quite unique and cool, because it is one of the very few blocks in the game that is affected by gravity. And isn't that nice? Like, we have 2 blocks in a row here, we place a third block, oh, it falls to the ground. So, although this doesn't happen sometimes, we'll assume that for the most part it does happen if you don't have serious lag in your world. So yeah, it's gravity affected, it'll fall to the ground, and you can do a few cool things with this. However, the reason that I don't ever use gravel to do any of these things is because it's actually a lesser block than sand in pretty much every purpose you want it for. Because the thing about gravel, unlike sand, is you have a 1 in 10 chance, roughly, of actually getting flint back instead of getting your gravel back. And why is this such a big deal? Because if you're doing something like draining an ocean monument, you just saw it happen there, if you're doing something like draining an ocean monument, for instance, you want to get your block back so you can use it again. But if you want to use gravel again, 1/10 it's going to go missing every single time, and basically your gravel stock's going to go down and down and down and slowly turn into flint. If you want a massive amount of flint, then that's kind of cool, but if you don't, it's not so useful. So as well as just using it to get rid of water and stuff like that, which it's quite handy for, you can also use it to suffocate either mobs or for the game to suffocate yourself, because here you can see we've got a zombie. You just place some gravel in there fast and boom, it's going to suffocate him. I actually really do like this use for gravity affected blocks, because the mob drop just pops out because there's nowhere for it to go. I think it's kind of a funny way for the whole thing to happen. So in a few seconds you'll see some rotten flesh pop out, and there's something really amusing about that to me. But yeah, so although this is a kind of cool use for the the gravel and stuff, again, it's just better used as sand, because every single time you use it as a gravity affected block like this, it's gonna lose you 10% of your stock, and unless you want lots of flint, that's not too useful. So why would you want lots of flint? Arguably this is the most useful thing that gravel does, because flint is actually used in 2 crafting recipes, the flint and steel, as most of you know, and then it's also used in arrows. Again, most of you should know that, but if you put some flint in there with some sticks and you get some feathers, you can make some arrows. So this is kind of cool, I guess, but the problem is most people don't actually make arrows this way, and the reason for this is because there's a much easier way to get arrows that involves just killing skeletons or making a skeleton farm and making a true source of arrows, whereas doing it this way, you need a chicken farm anyway, because chickens are a pretty rare mob and you only get a feather or 2 every time. You need, the flint, which you already have, and they need sticks, you have to craft it. It's just more effort than killing skeletons, and that's why, flint isn't so useful. You need to use it precisely like once per world, because you need to make your flint steel to get to the nether, and then you need it once again when you run out of that flint steel. And like in Minecraft time, you might use it every like 20 hours, and given that the block itself isn't so useful because it makes so much of that, it seems like such a bummer that, you get this block that just, this item that you just don't really ever seem to need to use. So yeah, that's its second thing it does. The third thing that gravel does is something I actually do think is quite cool, because it is a relatively new thing. So we get 2 dirt right here, then you'll be able to see if we go to a crafting table with our dirt and we put it in there with the gravel. One of the cool things that you can actually make as of 1.8 is you can put 2 gravel, 2 dirt in there, and you can make yourself coarse dirt. Coarse dirt is of course quite cool because it doesn't get grass affected on it, and yeah, if you want to make some coarse dirt, you can do that. I used to believe it was just found effectively, but you can actually craft it yourself using gravel. This is arguably gravel's biggest use, because then if you have a stack of it sitting on chest, you can turn it into coarse dirt, and although coarse dirt isn't that useful, like it doesn't look that much different than regular dirt, if you want to make something like this and you want to have a big patch of coarse dirt, you can only do that by having gravel. So why don't I like gravel then? So we've gone through all of its uses. It's gravity affected but kind of terrible. It gives you flint, which is used once every 10 hours, and it makes coarse dirt, which you might want because it looks different to dirt and has a few different properties. So yeah, why don't I like that's my very non-biased opinion on why it's good. So why is it bad then? So truth be told, it's bad because it happened, you come across this block so often and its uses are so limited, because being gravity affected, although it's cool in some ways, it's really negative in some other ways. If you want to make a gravel pathway, you have to put string underneath it, and it just it raises the question of why do we need this really, really, really ugly block? Because look at it, it's just not a nice looking block. How many times you see gravel used in a build? It's like, oh yeah, gravel would really help this look better. You don't. don't. It's just not it's not a good looking block, and it doesn't even work in most builds because you have to have it, centered on the ground because it's gravity affected. So as a building block, it's terrible. But you have so much for it anyway. What do you do with it? So you might want to use it to drain your ocean monument, but then your stack's going to go away and turn into flint, and then you have lots of flint, and I guess you could make some arrows, but what's that all about? And that's the big problem here. Like, every single use for gravel just doesn't really lead anywhere. You get so much of it because it spawns in massive chunks underground, and when you do find it underground, it's terrible because, you're going mining, you're just getting into the groove, and then you find gravel. So you remove some blocks with this, and then more happen. Then you remove them again, and so on and so forth. And you can see this for like 7-8 blocks at a time sometimes, and it just makes you go, I don't want to do this anymore, and that's why I hate gravel. It gets in your way, then you end up with so much of it, because we've got a lot of gravel here. Then what do we do with all this gravel we collected? We don't really. It's not used for building, like most other blocks in Minecraft. That's kind of the point there. It's only used in one crafting recipe, which isn't a very common block. I mean, admittedly, it's a use for gravel, but it's not very common. And then if we use it for any gravity-affected uses, we're going to end up with a bunch of flint, which we don't really want. So, yeah, that is why I don't like gravel. That is why I'm always going to say #nerf gravel. I really do think gravel needs to be looked at. I mean, it's fun to just, I think, for some extent, it's fun to talk about and say, yeah, gravel's awful, but I think to some other extent, it could be used in a really useful way. So, what is the useful way I'm talking about? So, if we just make flint slightly more valuable, we could make the whole gravel dynamic change a bit. I mean, it is fun to have gravel being a terrible looking block, but imagine that when you do get flint from it, that 1 in 10 times, or if you use fortune free, it's 100% of the time, then what you could make, for instance, is a flint block, because if you look at, if you make a redstone block, for instance, it gives your whole redstone stack a lot more use. If you give coal blocks a use, it makes coal more useful. And if you make a flint block, you could make that block look really cool. And then all the flint you have lying around could be, pretty cool. So, in my dream, future update, you go in to the crafting table, you place your flint, and you end up with a flint block. Unfortunately, that's not a thing just now. And even if it was, I wonder how the block would look. But it's just something I dream of, and it's something I just think would be so much cooler. And I'm just bummed out that it's not a thing yet. Oh, I know it. You could make the flint block always be like the netherrack. Wait for you to light it on fire, it stays on fire. I don't know. I just think you need to either add some extra use for gravel because you find so much of it right now, or make it slightly rarer. Like, bear in mind, as well as finding it underground super often, you also find it in stuff like, MC villages just all the time, and there's just way more gravel than anyone ever has a use for, and I think this disparity is why I hate gravel. So, in conclusion, #nerf gravel, and hope you did all enjoy the video. Like if you did like it, share if you liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here. If you enjoyed this and want to see more, then that's how you can see them daily on your homepage. So, let me know what you think about gravel. If you like gravel, I'd like to hear your opinion on why, because I just look at it and I think, what do we really need gravel for? I mean, for coarse dirt now, I guess that's a use. But even then, I'm not very pro gravel, and I'd like to hear some of your opinions to change that opinion, because I'm always down to change my opinions. But on this one, it might not be that way. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.